I'm formulating the 6 month, the intro paragraph in my head. So
Yeah, it's
give me a
fine.
minute.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time I've blown it. So
By the way, have you listened to the last week's episode?
no, was it any good?
Yeah, it was good, but I have great editing skills. Just you should know that.
Okay.
That
I never doubted
that
your editing skills.
that gap we had to take,
Yeah.
you can't even tell.
My man, I had faith in you.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Also, that's really not complicated at all, but I was proud of myself.
I have faith in you.
Okay. Oh, and I did get an email back from Apple. They're still reviewing the podcast. I don't know.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh, good God. Okay. They said they'd just reject the artwork again.
Yeah. See, that one came back pretty quick. And it keeps their Apple emails, but they keep ending up in my offer, like the promotions folder.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Because it's a trusted email and it's not a promotion.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird. Okay. You ready? Very nice. Okay. Okay. Now are you ready?
The stomach that I went to city doctor about last week is really giving me fits.
Are you having stomach issues?
Yeah, I really am.
What's the problem?
She took me off one medicine and it put me on another that I just picked up today. I'm old.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is another episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast. I'm Pat.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the week of 7/4/2016. And we're here to talk about the comics that came out this week in the Marvel Unlimited podcast.
Happy Independence Day, Pat.
app. Happy Independence Day. We're all independent. We're free to read however many good or bad comics we would like. And I think this week they were mostly good.
Britain's super free. They're so
Britain's
free.
Super free.
Yeah, they're freer than we are.
They are free. Yes, they are. They're free to go broke. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com. 6 monthsbehind.com. The email is.
You can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That is the number 6 monthsbehind@gmail.com.
There you go.
And let's go ahead and get into it for this week. We got quite a few books to go through.
Yeah, as we said, some are good, some are bad. You know, I guess that includes all weeks. You know, it's just
it's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag. I'm trying to. I'm reading different articles. You sent me an article about Squirrel Girl this week and
what they're doing with
Squirrel Girl, and I did about how great Squirrel Girl is, and you know, they're and we'll talk about this as we go. They're definitely trying to reach different audiences here, and I respect what they're trying to do with some of these books. You know, not all of them are for everyone, so you know, there you go.
But that's better than making a bunch of books who are only for, you know, these three people. Me, you, and everyone else listening to this.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. So to start us off, we're going to start with Spider-Man. We got a few Spider-Man books this week, starting with Amazing Spider-Man number 6. Another Alex Ross cover.
Another Alex Ross cover. Did you see that Alex Ross cover for the Champions?
Dude, yeah.
Golly. He doesn't even got to sign his name. You just look at it and you know it's Alex Ross. I don't care if it's his Spider-Man issue. I don't care if it's like Champions cover too. That dude's just amazing. Anyway, Anyway, this was another great book. Um, they brought back Mr. Negative, which I'm kind of happy to see. He's a good villain.
Yeah, I've liked him. He's relatively new, but I think they do really cool stuff with him. And this is turning into a pretty standard villain arc. I mean, you've got a villain who comes back and he establishes a drug ring. That's basically what's going on. Hey, what's up with Cloak and Dagger make an appearance in this book? What's their deal?
I'm not I'm not very familiar with Mr. Negative, but apparently he touches people and makes them evil, and he's converted Cloak and Dagger from good to evil.
Well, yeah, it's like he puts these patches on you, and they're like, it's the whole drug thing, you know.
Apparently, that's what he's done to Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, I guess so. I just don't know when.
Why Dagger was white and no, Dagger was black and Cloak was white.
Right, and I just don't know when this happened.
Somewhere in the 8 months.
It must have, because I've read all of the Spider-Man stuff from Superior up to now pretty recently, and I didn't see any of this happen. So,
dude, there's a lot of things that's happened in 8 months that we don't know about.
Yep. So you got that going on. You got Peter Parker being, super tech CEO. He's literally wearing a black turtleneck sweater at one point in the book. Did you notice that?
I did, yes.
And I was like, dude, like all he needs is some New Balance sneakers, and he's Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
But it was a good issue. Of course they're starting a new story arc, so it's a lot of setup. And Peter's burning the candle at both ends, and that never ends well. And if you notice, this issue was kind of light on the jokes. It was kind of pretty serious. Not a lot of
but it was a good issue, man. It was. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
I did too. This whole series has been really good.
It was good. It was a good book. It was kind of a transitional issue. They're starting a new storyline. It's a good leaping on place if you haven't been reading.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a good issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Spider-Man 2099 number 5. I'm sorry.
I was going to introduce 2099. This book is another book that keeps surprising me in more ways than one. I really didn't expect to like this book when I started reading it, and here we are in issue 5, and it's become one of those books I look forward to every month.
Dude, I've been telling you for years that Peter David is one of the best writers out there.
Oh, dude, I don't deny that. I've known that. I just, there's a bunch of Spider-Man books to read, and I didn't know if I wanted to read this one, but I'm glad I do.
He's that good, man. He's good. And he's taking a cast of characters here and putting them together inside this, what has become a very large Spider universe, and made it very entertaining. He's creating a list of villains, a list of supporting characters and supporting heroes, and making it really, making it good. I really look forward to it. I'm like you. I was kind of hesitant. As a matter of fact, I think I skipped an issue at one point and had to go back and read it. And I'm really into it, man. I really am.
Yeah, me too. And Lady Cap is awesome.
Did you not read that series she was in Secret Wars?
No, I guess not. But
that was a good series. It was a good series.
I think they're going to flesh her out a little more. She's going to be one of those that he just hangs around with. And eventually you're going to have a bunch of future superheroes teaming up together.
I think it was the Defenders series that was in Secret Wars Battle World that she was in. And there was no doubt. I mean, she was just, you had a drunk Hercules, you had a drunk Submariner.
I remember
you had a bunch of characters there. But she was by far the most interesting character in that whole series. And it was an entertaining series, and she was the star of it. I mean, there was no doubt she was the star of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and one more thing, and just a little, we're talking about how great the book is. This was like the one weak point I found. At some point, he's fighting a tank. How does dude from the year 2099 not understand that the tank is automated and there's no pilot in it?
Dude, I don't know. It's a plot device.
I guess, man, but dude, automated war weapons, that's 2016 tech. Come on now.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought it was
I got nothing. It's a plot device.
It was a single plot hole in what is otherwise a really good book.
I'm trying to figure out how he lost track of the two villains at that point.
Yeah.
How did you not see him not get in the tank and get into something else?
I don't know, man. Either way, it's a way to keep the drama going.
Yeah.
You gotta have an issue 6. But
Yes.
Speaking of issue 6s, Spider-Man and Deadpool #1, which isn't a 6th issue. You really like this book. We're talking about it
really
earlier.
Enjoyed this book, man.
Tell me about it.
Really
Tell me about it.
You got to back up a couple of weeks, couple of months, and realize that in what team is Deadpool on? Uncanny Avengers.
Yeah, they're calling Spider-Man the Unity Squad.
Yeah,
yeah.
Spider-Man quit that team because of Deadpool, and
yeah, historically, Deadpool and Spider-Man. Well, Peter Parker hates Deadpool. Deadpool wants to be friends, and Spider-Man just really does not.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, he just goes to Steve Rogers and says, "If Deadpool's here, I'm not." And Steve Rogers is like, "He's here, I'm out. Peace." Yeah. You haven't seen him since in the book. I'm sure. I know at some point they're going to bring him back, but you haven't seen him since. And so you begin this issue with them talking to each other, and by the second page, I should say, you realize they're tied up together. And the banner is just, I can't even, I don't know what this is rated. I don't know if it's rated at teen or teen plus, but we'll choose not to discuss what they're discussing on pages 2 and 3 in our podcast. The art's fantastic. You've got tremendously witty banner between the two. Deadpool finally, I guess, rips his hip out of socket and then takes the bone and cuts him loose with it. Is that what he does? Did you read this?
Yeah, I did.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, I think so. And there's a bunch.
I'm looking at the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It just and from there, it leads to more jokes and yeah. I enjoyed the interaction between the two. Then at some point he appeals to Spider-Man. Spider-Man's better side, and Spider-Man has sympathy on him.
I'll be honest.
We won't discuss the end of the issue. Go ahead.
I didn't like this book.
Why not? What did you not like about it? How do you not like Hydro? How do you not like Hydro Man coming from a sewage plant?
Okay, I get it, but this I don't know. I felt like it was kind of one note. It was a lot of dick jokes.
No,
that was the main theme running through this book. Was toilet humor.
No, not really. No.
Okay.
You got Deadpool appealing to his sympathetic side, and trying to make Spider-Man feel sorry for him. As Spider-Man standing there in his underwear, hosing off his costume, and Deadpool is disembodied.
It was an entertaining book, but I didn't absolutely love it.
Yeah, okay. We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What do you think of the art?
The art was good. I don't know who the artist is, but it looked familiar. But I did enjoy the art. Oh, okay. That's why.
Yes.
That's familiar art. So what about Spidey #1?
Didn't read it.
Oh, really?
That's one of those Yeah, didn't read it.
Okay. So
actually, it's Spidey number 2.
Is it?
Yep, looking at it.
Okay. I could have sworn that was a number 1. Well, anyway, it couldn't be any more of a classic Spider-Man story, even from the art. I mean, it's modern art, but it's set in a way that looks like the old Spider-Man comics. And it's literally a retelling of the Spider-Man origin in a fast pace. And you just see him, he fights off Sandman and is home in time for dinner, and Aunt May doesn't suspect a thing, or maybe she does, you don't know. This is
one of those Marvel Universe books that I don't waste my time with.
Is it a Marvel Universe book?
I think so. Apparently you enjoyed it.
I don't think it is.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I don't know what
say it is.
I don't know what universe this is happening in. This is teenage Peter Parker, high school Peter Parker with Gwen Stacy. It almost seems like it's been 8 months since he got his powers. That's what this looks like. But is this happening in an alternate universe? Because it's clearly not the 616 universe. I was confused. It was a decent book, but it was odd.
Dude, I got enough 616 books to read without venturing into stuff like that.
Dude, I'm not. I don't think it's one of those Ultimate Comics or anything weird like that. I don't know. I'll look into it. I shall report back next week.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. The art's actually really good, and the writing is good. Like I said, it's cookie cutter Spider-Man, but it's not. It's good Spider-Man. I'd read it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
there you go.
Moving on to the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 1. What did you think?
I really enjoyed this book because I didn't. Somehow this book came in under the radar to me. I didn't realize there was an Uncanny coming, and I didn't know who the characters were going to be. So it's kind of like opening a comic book for the first time and not knowing what to expect, because with so many of these, you open Guardians of the Galaxy number 1, you know what's going to be there. You open, Darth Vader number 1, you know what's going to be there. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the cast of characters were going to be in this Uncanny X-Men number 1. So as I read it and the cast of characters were revealed, I was surprised. I didn't realize that. And by the way, it's Magneto, the still heroic Sabretooth.
Yes. It's kind of
Cyclops.
Evil Magneto. I don't know if I guess he's back to being a villain.
It's an angry Magneto. It's an angry Magneto.
Still having trouble with his powers. Sabretooth, who's got Sabretooth with a conscience.
Yes, which still from Axis, where he got a conscience in Axis and still has it. Psylocke, Archangel with no brain, and that other young lady I'm not familiar with.
They called her Monet, and I don't know who she is.
I had seen her off and on over the years, and I'm not familiar with her. I meant to look her up on Wikipedia. Anyway, so the story unfolds, and what basically happens is Storm has taken the school and moved it to limbo, moved it to hell. So there's no X-Men on the Earth, planet Earth, to carry forth Charles Xavier's work, whether it's rescuing mutants as they did in this issue, or fighting for the mutant cause, or whatever. There's no X-Men left to do it because Storm has withdrawn to limbo to preserve the mutants from the Terrigen Mist. And Magneto's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to carry the fight to him. And he's pretty ticked off. You can tell he's pretty angry at Storm about having to do it. And that's what this team is for. And I was really, dude, Greg Land drew it. Dude, anything Greg Land draws is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially X-Men.
Yeah,
he's kind of the modern day John Byrne when it comes to X-Men. Greg Land always does great X-Men art.
Yeah, and I think they've got a good cast of characters here to play with, a good group of mutants to play with. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I look forward to what they're going to do with here, what they're going to do with this group.
Yeah, I mean, this was basically all set up an introduction, but what you've essentially got is an X-Men villains team.
Yeah, close.
I mean, it's pretty close. You got Psylocke, who depends. Magneto's a villain, clearly. You got Sabretooth, who, they're all sympathetic villains, but they're villains.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to argue with back and forth like we do with Squadron Supreme about whether they're really a force of good or bad. I think that's going to be the moral quandary of the book. But so when did Warren become Archangel again?
Dude, I was going to discuss this a moment ago. We're calling it an 8-month gap. We really have, for all intents and purposes, a 16-month gap. We got a year and a half that we've lost between the end of Days, which I believe it was called in those Avenger series, because they jumped 8 months there. Then you've got Secret Wars. Then from Secret Wars to now, they've jumped another 8 months.
Well, are you sure that the 8 months isn't when Secret Wars happened and then they come back?
No. You got 2 8-month jumps there.
Okay.
You jump 8 months. You jump 8 months in that Avengers book because you remember they jump 8 months ahead.
Yeah.
And now you from Secret Wars to now is another 8-month jump. So you've lost a year and a half in there with these characters, where these characters have changed, evolved, and you've got all kinds of changes from end of Secret Wars to now.
Right.
And we haven't even gotten to the Guardians of Infinity yet, or Groot and Rocket Raccoon. We haven't even gotten to those 2 books yet. So,
at some point,
you got all kinds of changes in these characters, and there's no explanation. And I don't think they plan on giving you an explanation. We still don't know what happened to Cyclops, and he's just dead. And there's you get one panel explaining it, and that's it.
Yeah, and we may hear about it later or see it in a flashback, but we still don't know what Nick Fury told Thor. I don't know, 2 years ago now.
Yeah. We still don't know where Thor is.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, lots of unanswered questions. So that's moving on. That brings us to X-Men Worst X-Men Ever, number 1. Please tell me you read this.
I did read it.
I want to hear what you think before I talk about it.
We've already disagreed several times already. And we're going to disagree over this one too. Uh-huh. I don't understand what you saw in this book. I kept thinking there must be something he sees in this book that I didn't.
Okay, you're right. So
hello.
Yeah, I mean
hello.
So what did you think though?
Dude, it's a
you didn't like it.
It's a mediocre issue 1, and if I had paid $3.99 for it, I would be extremely irritated, and I would never buy issue 2.
Okay. Well, full disclosure, I'm pretty familiar with the writer of this book. It was written by a guy named Max Bemis, who, are you familiar? You're not familiar with Max Bemis. He is the lead singer of the punk rock band Say Anything. And, if you've never listened to their stuff, it's really weird and angsty. But anyway, he's ventured into this new career as of late as a comic book writer. And
I hope he doesn't plan on making money at it.
Well, I don't see. I'm coming into this biased because I would like to see dude succeed really well. I don't know, man. But even then, reading this book, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, you've got this kid. He's just this boring teenager. And one day his parents sit him down and they're like, hey, you're a mutant. And he's like, oh my gosh, finally, something to distinguish me from the rest of the pack because I'm this goofy, boring kid that nobody gives a rip about. So they take him to the Xavier school, or I guess it's the Jean Grey school, which is anyway. And they meet with Beast and they do all these tests and the kid's all pumped about, yeah, I'm going to be a mutant. I'm going to be an X-Man. Cool. Yeah. It turns out he's got the lamest superpower ever. And then a couple other things happen. I don't know, man. I thought it was really relatable and it might actually be good later. But mostly, I would like to see Max Bemis succeed in this because I've seen what happens when he doesn't. See, about 5 years ago, maybe a little longer now.
Well, the fact that dude may become suicidal because his comic book doesn't sell doesn't make me enjoy the comic book.
Well, it doesn't make me enjoy the comic book so much either, but I thought it was a decent effort for, the first comic book he's ever written.
Well, again, it may be, but that doesn't put it on my top 10 list for this week.
Okay.
And there's only like 15 comic books. I mean, here's the thing. It's not bad. But it's not that great either.
Okay. Well, I thought the same thing about the Spider-Man Deadpool book. So, we'll agree to disagree.
In the book. It was A-Force was better than it. Contest of Champions was better than it. Deadpool was definitely better. Lord knows Doctor Strange was better.
Listen,
Guardians of Infinity. Yeah, okay, that was probably better because it had a plot line and action. Howard the Duck, Lord no, Howard the Duck wasn't better.
Anyway,
Lord, yes, Invincible Iron Man, Nova was better. I mean, dude, it wasn't that good.
I'm not saying it's the best this week. I'm not saying it's the best at anything. Me personally, I'm just happy to see a singer from a band that I like actually succeed.
But that doesn't make the book good.
Okay. I'm not, that's not my argument.
Well, you asked me if I enjoyed the book or if the book was good.
Right. You didn't like it. I'm explaining to you what I liked about it.
You like the writer. That doesn't make the book enjoyable or good.
Okay. I enjoyed it. You didn't. That's fine.
I mean, I tell you, here's an example. Here's an example for you. CM Punk is writing the Drax book.
The Drax book, yeah. It's not great.
I want CM Punk to succeed at this. I don't think the writing's that good. I don't. I want him to succeed. I like CM Punk. But I don't think it's that good. I don't. It's mediocre at best. I think he did a terrible job with Terrax in issue 2. He took a cosmic level being and turned him into a weeping, pitiful drunk, feeling sorry for himself in a bar. I mean, I won't see CM Punk to succeed, but that was bad writing at best. So I like those characters. And the book's almost enjoyable, but dude, it's still bad writing, man.
Well, the good thing is Marvel's writing a lot of books and they're all different and they're all new and we're going to talk about them now.
There you go.
A-Force #1. I also really enjoyed this book.
I enjoyed this book. See, we can agree now.
Yes. I didn't read the A-Force book, Battle World A-Force book. So tell me about Singularity.
You waited till I took a drink and then tossed me the ball.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. Singularity was her origin was essentially in that A-Force book.
Right. And that's kind of what I understood.
That's what you understood.
Yeah.
And she became friends with all these characters because they embraced her. They didn't know what she was originally, but they embraced her, and essentially she saved their portion of Battle World. Matter of fact, she saved their lives at one point, particularly Medusa. She did save Medusa's life at one point. And obviously she shows up in this issue and goes looking for her friends who are the members of A-Force, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, Medusa, forget the rest. If I could find the cover, I'd remember. She goes looking for the members of A-Force, and they don't remember her because they don't remember Battle World. And it doesn't exactly turn out the way she expects it to.
No. But
she's a very interesting character.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't say a whole lot, but you know, I don't know. There's something compelling about her.
Yeah, she's not a great character, but she was pretty interesting in an A-Force Battle World book.
Yeah, and she, you know, of course, she shows up in this universe, immediately finds Captain Marvel, and accidentally releases some sort of space anomaly, which gets really bad, which she then brings to Earth, which makes things more bad. And
is that space anomaly like her evil counterpart or something?
They called it antimatter, and I would guess so. I mean, it fits the theme anyway.
Yeah.
But hey, so at some point we see She-Hulk Hulk out, and it got me thinking. How much do you think she spends in suits in a year?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, she'd have to. Like, she makes a remark about it. Oh, I just bought this suit. And it just made me think, my goodness, you know, I wouldn't want to, because we know she's not exactly solvent. There's all these issues with her building and all this other stuff. So she's got to be spending a ton of money on suits.
Yeah, particularly if they're nice suits, you know, and every time you rip one, it's got to cost you a fortune.
Right.
You can't find a phone booth changing anymore. So, yeah, it costs you a fortune.
Yeah. You know, this isn't Joseph A. Bank type stuff.
No.
So that's A-Force. Moving on to Contest of Champions,
which I enjoyed. It was a good book.
Yeah, I will continue to read it. Contest of Champions number 4. I really like this book too.
I do. This is a really interesting little book because, as we both know, it's based off that video game.
Right.
And can we just pause here a moment? You and I were texting each other right before the podcast because The Verge came out with a story that Nintendo is finally putting their games into the world in apps. And just how many years have we been saying Nintendo needed to release their game in apps, and they're finally doing it?
At least since 2009.
Dude, how much money are they going to make by putting their game into apps?
I tell you what, and we discussed this too. Right now, the only thing I want is that Pokemon Go app.
Dude, just take Fire Emblem and Pokemon and Zelda and put them on apps and count the money that comes in by the hundreds of millions of dollars. That's it.
Yeah, you don't even have to.
No hardware, no nothing. Just develop it, shoot it out there, and print the money.
They're afraid of becoming Sega, where they shift to just software, and their bottom line suffers and their titles suffer. But dude, you know, Nintendo, I think, was born to be a house of ideas, and I don't know, man. Anyway,
Contest of Champions.
Yeah,
based
Contest
off the
of
game.
Champions.
So, and you've got all these characters being drawn in because of the game, and this is a chicken and the egg thing. The comic is supporting the game is supporting the comic, and
right, I mean,
they're literally creating characters in the comic for the game.
Yeah, and the comic is essentially just a big advert.
This comic book is good, man.
It is good.
It's good though, man. Golly. And the thing is, they could have just. I was going to say you're too young to remember. You're really too young to remember. But in the 80s, even in the 90s, Marvel and DC both threw out some really, really bad comic books in support of merchandising.
Yeah.
There was a Team America comic book, not the movie, but it was a in the height of the Evel Knievel craze. They came up with these motorcycles, and they did a 12-issue limited series of this motorcycle team running across the United States, and Mattel ran a toy line that went with it. Dude, it was just so bad, man. It was just bad. But
out of
this is just
all those franchises that were created in the 80s in order to sell toys, how many of those are left? How many of them are any good?
Dude, the original Secret Wars. The original Secret Wars was written to coincide with the launching of a toy line. That's why the original Secret Wars was written.
Right, yeah. But you think about Ninja Turtles and Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man. How many of those are around today? They're fondly remembered, but they're ugh.
But dude, watching Stick take down some of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe, watching him battle Elektra, dude, this is just this is a great comic book. He
was really the star of this issue, and I really like Stick as a character, and him just he saves the chick with the sword, and starts to fight Elektra, and she's like, I can help, and he's like, I don't need it. And then he takes down the Sentry, who's having his own issues.
Yes.
He always does. Bob always has identity issues. But I thought those two were the really most interesting characters in this. And then you got a thing that happens at the end that we won't talk about, but that's got some interesting implications. This book is a whole lot of fun, and they really could have.
It's just a lot of fun, man.
They could have put a mediocre writer and a mediocre team on this, but they really wanted to do something with it. And I wonder if they're banking on people like you and me reading this comic and then going, well, maybe I'll check out the game, and vice versa.
Yes, vice versa.
If they did, they're doing a good job of it.
If you're not reading the series, go to issue 1 and just read all 4 issues at this point, because it is really that good. It's really good.
It's a really fantastic book. Bringing us to Deadpool number 5.
Yes. I continue to love this series, and you probably continue to take a dump on it.
I didn't love it. Okay, I'm really starting to think that your theory about me and Deadpool is right.
Here's well, I'll tell you why I like it. They did this whole thing with they've got this Madcap story going, and they finally bring that to a conclusion, more or less, this issue. And Madcap is basically out to destroy Deadpool, because at some point his personality was trapped inside Deadpool's mind, and it drove him insane, which will tell you how screwed up Deadpool's mind is. And along the way, both in this series and in the last Deadpool series, they're really evolving Deadpool's character. And you did read the book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you saw the last couple of pages, you saw where they're evolving this character. And he's not happy with who he is. But he's so freaking crazy that he can't help being who he is. And it's like in that Spider-Man Deadpool book, or Deadpool Spider-Man, whichever it is, you see a little bit of that in that, and you see it in here, where he knows he's crazy. He knows everybody hates him. He knows what he is, and he desperately doesn't want to do it. But he's so crazy he can't stop doing it, but he wants to change. And he's slowly becoming something else, but he's insane. It's great, man. It's great. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the kind of that tortured aspect that has always been the deeper part of Wade Wilson, which I like. Yeah, I mean, if you like Deadpool, this is a really good book.
You just don't like Deadpool.
Maybe not.
Yeah, this is a great book. I if you're into Deadpool at all, this is a
oh yeah, absolutely,
a great issue.
If you like Deadpool, this is the thing to be reading. I don't know, just personal preference. It just didn't resonate. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad. It just didn't resonate with me like some of the other books this week.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. I'm really into the and it's a very slow burn. Okay, this it's not a, we're going to do this in 10 issues. This is a character development that's been going on for 5 years now. So it's a very slow evolution, but it's an evolution that's happening, and it's good, man. It's good, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I feel like it would be better if I just sat down and read like 6 issues at once. I feel like I would enjoy this. Be better. I feel like I would enjoy this. Is a book I would enjoy more if I just read, if I read it in large chunks. Because we read these month by month, and sometimes you go back and you read things after they've come out, and you realize that story flows better and makes more sense when I can read issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all back to back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Howard the Duck in a moment, and we're going to talk about how
I think that's going to
be those issues flow.
Yeah, I think that's going to be another one of those books too. But before we get there, let's talk about Doctor Strange. Yep. You know me, I'm the Doctor Strange fanboy, and this book has been really good all the way through. They're ramping up the story with these machines that are killing magic or eating magic. I'm not sure which. But the whole book is told from the perspective of this Zelma girl who came to find the Doctor in the first issue. And your perspective is kind of is her perspective a little bit, or at least she's meant to be representative of you, because in all likelihood, people reading this book don't know who Doctor Strange is. So you're getting this kind of glimpse into this really weird world. I mean, at one point he's eating just the weirdest things in the kitchen.
Yeah, that kind of grossed me out.
Yeah, and they're literally saying, Wong is explaining to her, yeah, because the effect that magic has on the body, he has to eat these otherworldly things because the other stuff just doesn't do it. And yeah, man, good book, great art. It's good. What do you think?
How are they going to resolve this? I mean, when you kill all the Sorcerer Supremes and you kill all the magic, where are they going to go from there?
I don't know. It bleeds into the Invincible Iron Man story that's going on too, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where this is going, which is another thing I like about this book. I don't know where the story's going, and after you read comic books for a time, I've kind of developed this ability to go, oh, okay, I see what they're setting up here. Or, oh, this is probably going to go like this. And I can usually predict books a lot. This one I'm not. Nope. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea where it's going, which is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guardians of Infinity #2. Guardians of the Galaxy from throughout time have a throwdown.
Through the first millennia, the second millennia, and the third millennia. And they have a throwdown. Finally, Drax is the voice of reason. If you're fighting and Drax has to be your voice of reason, you probably have issues. And he's the voice of reason who makes them stop fighting so that they can fight the common enemy. And this I will say this was a very good improvement over issue 1, because in issue 1, I really had doubts about where they were going with that, but in issue 2, I see where they're going in putting these 3 teams together and putting these characters from, because everyone's familiar, at least I'm familiar with the Guardians from the 31st century. You're familiar with the Guardians from the 21st century.
Yeah.
They've introduced the Guardians from the 11th century, and you've got a couple other characters mixed in there. So you've got a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy there.
And you get some of those are really cool characters.
Yes, those are great characters, man. That's the thing. Those are great characters. You know, some of those are classic characters.
Who's the dude in the turban that's doing? I forget his name. He's from the.
I'm not sure. He's from the 11th century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1000 AD. I forget his name, but he's neat.
Yeah, I'd never seen him before, so I'm completely unfamiliar with him. But yeah, it moved along, and each of these issues has a backup story. In last issue, we got a backup story on the Thing. This issue, we get a backup story on Drax, and the backup story on Drax was really good. You've never seen, at least I have never seen, and I'm pretty familiar with the character, Drax's family before. And you get introduced to Drax's family and how he separated from them. And this was a good issue, man. Both the main story and a backup story are really good issues.
Yeah, this is when I first came across it for the first issue. It was one of those that I was kind of on the fence on. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to read this or not, and I'm glad I did. It's really entertaining.
Yeah, it is entertaining. And that brings us to Howard the Duck number 3.
I'll admit, this is the first Howard the Duck book I've actually read.
You were totally confused, weren't you?
A little. I don't know how Howard the Duck became bonded to the Nexus of all realities, and when or what that has to do with Man-Thing. But I assume he's going to show up at some point.
He went there in issue 1 to go home. He just wanted to go home. He went there to the Nexus of all realities simply to return to his world.
Okay.
And when he got there, he found he was bonded to it.
See, here's the thing. That creates interesting implications with Man-Thing, because that's Man-Thing's purpose. He's the guardian of the Nexus of all realities.
But you have to go back to Howard the Duck's origin, which was in Man-Thing's issue, and he was created as a Man-Thing character.
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay, I'm not up on my Howard the Duck history.
Yes, that's where he was created in that swamp.
Huh. Okay, give me a little rundown on what happened there.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have no idea. I've learned this in the history of Marvel that I'm reading.
Okay. See, I was hoping for some old school comic book wisdom.
Literally, Marvel was going bankrupt, and Howard the Duck catches fire from a Man-Thing comic, and Chris Claremont's X-Men comics catch fire, and it saves Marvel from going bankrupt. I mean, at the exact moment Marvel was about to close the door, Howard the Duck and Chris Claremont catch fire, and it saves Marvel from going bankrupt.
Okay. So who's the dude that shows up at the end that kidnapped Howard the Duck?
That's the Stranger, who's one of those eternal characters like the Collector and
yeah, that's who I first thought
the Game
of.
Master, and yeah, because the Collector,
the Beyonder, and
you've got a female Rocket Raccoon and a female Howard the Duck there.
Yeah,
who are clones of Howard the Duck and clones of Rocket Raccoon that were bred by the Collector, so they would have someone to mate with, so they could continue their species. That's who those other two characters are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
if this sounds like a bunch of jumbled nonsense,
it is.
You know, this is when I need to take the pain pills that I recorded last week's episode on, and then read this comic, and maybe it would be enjoyable to me.
Oh, so did you not like it? thought it was okay. I'll admit I flipped through some of the pages and just skimmed the dialogue a couple times.
You know, I'm trying to formulate my words, and that leads to silence, and you don't need silence. Here's the thing. I just, at some point, a story doesn't have to become this convoluted. There's just something about this story that doesn't appeal to me. And I don't know if it's the absurdity of it, if it's how convoluted it is.
It's unnecessarily complicated for sure.
If it's the ridiculousness of it.
See, that's the part I like, and I think you need with a Howard the Duck comic.
Oh, it's definitely ridiculous.
Yeah, it has to be. You can't make a serious Howard the Duck comic. You can't even make a semi-serious Howard the Duck comic.
Well,
and I'll tell you, my hooks here are Chip Darsky doing the writing, because I actually like that dude, and the Nexus of All Realities because it brings Man-Thing into the picture at some point. So that's the only thing that really piqued my interest here.
I just, we've discussed this before, but it's been a couple of months. I can read very well. Okay. Yeah. Although I'm having trouble speaking at this point. I can follow very complicated plot lines. I can follow them over long periods of time. I can sit down and read a Tom Clancy 1,200-page novel in a weekend, okay, and keep track of all the characters. I can keep track of these things.
Yeah, we can both keep track of all the characters in A Song of Ice and Fire.
We can. And when a plot in a comic book gets so convoluted that I have trouble with it from issue to issue, maybe you're overthinking it a little bit. Maybe it's a little too complicated.
I agree. What is also complicated is Invincible Iron Man #5.
I didn't think that was too complicated. I thought that was good.
Oh, that whole thing's complicated. Tony can't figure it out. Madam Mask is demon possessed, and Doctor Doom's a good guy now, and yeah, he's all
okay. But sticking with our theme here, but it makes sense. I mean, you understand it. It's got plot devices there that you can't figure out because you don't know if Doctor Doom's good or bad or what he's doing. You don't know what's happened to Madam Mask. You don't understand magic, but you can follow the plot.
Absolutely.
But Doctor Doom, man, Doctor Doom's cool in this book.
Dude, yeah, he's being all. I like new Doctor Doom, and for those who haven't caught on, after Secret Wars, turns out Doctor Doom's a good guy now. I don't know what that's about.
Is he?
And well, that's the thing is
sure?
we don't know. He's supposed to be, and Tony's confused about that
he's
too.
He's acting like it.
Yeah, he's certainly acting like it. And it takes the two of them to take down demon possessed Madam Mask. So
yeah,
and even then, if Doctor
totally
Strange,
cool.
Yeah, and even then, if Doctor Strange hadn't shown up, it might have gone real bad. But
yeah, dude, this was a great issue. It's got it's the total package. Great art, great writing, a little bit of humor mixed in.
Yeah, with serious consequences going on. Banter between the geniuses that are Tony Stark and Doctor Doom and Stephen Strange.
Months ago, when they introduced, when they said they were going to introduce Mary Jane Watson into the series, you and I were like, how are they going to do that and make it make sense? In this issue, they did it and made sense. But they made it make sense.
Sure.
Pepper Potts runs the business side. He needs somebody to run the superhero side.
Yeah, he needs somebody to run his PR.
Right, on the superhero side.
And she can do that. Also, he owes her because, you know, he keeps blowing up her clubs one way or the other.
Yeah,
and you know, she's going to be the next Pepper Potts kind of, and I was confused when they said she was going to be in the series of how that was going to be handled. But I'm actually looking forward to seeing her in the book now.
Yeah, dude, it was good. This was a very good book.
Also,
this whole series has been good.
Also, do you think Tony and Mary Jane are gonna, hook up? Because that'd be super sleazy, man. Like, hasn't Tony Stark screwed Peter Parker enough?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's like, yeah, I made you take your mask off in front of everybody and probably got your aunt killed, and you had to make a deal with the devil to reverse it all, and then I banged your lady. Sorry, bud. What? Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Nova number 3.
Nova number 3. This was essentially a filler issue.
Yeah, it really was. And, I mean, Nova's still looking for his dad. He goes and does some Teen Avengers stuff. Meh.
Yeah, well, it wasn't bad. It was just, he's freaked out over the discoveries he made about his dad in issue 2, and he goes to see Tony Stark about it, and Tony Stark tries to help him. He winds up doing Avengers work and then hanging out with Miles Morales and Miss Marvel and
Teen Avengers.
Teen Avenger. It's not bad. It's not great. It's that's all I got to say about it. It's
serviceable.
And I'm a fan of Nova, and I'm a fan of Sam Alexander. I'd much prefer to see Richard Rider come back, but I'm a fan of this book. This just this didn't. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Rocket Raccoon and Groot number 1.
Remember what we were saying about Howard the Duck and confusing storylines?
Yeah, dude. What the heck is this?
I have no idea. I don't know what this is. I don't know what reality this is in. I don't know who these characters are. I don't know when this is. I don't know what universe this is in.
So give us a brief synopsis of the issue.
A brief synopsis of the issue. You start with the Guardians of the Galaxy thinking that Rocket Raccoon and Groot are dead and having a funeral for them. They shoot the coffins into space.
Yeah, and being really cynical and dark about it.
And the coffins apparently, as near as I can tell, shoot into another universe, another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And where Groot is not a tree, but he's a shrub. And Rocket Raccoon is the ruler of the dimension. And if that sounds completely confusing, well, you ought to read the book.
Yeah, dude. I'll hold on and read issue 2 to see if they give some explanation. But if I don't get any explanation by issue 2, I'm dropping this thing like a hot rock.
And here's the thing.
I don't have time to read a book and not know what's going on.
When Marvel first started in 1963, one of Stan Lee's principles was that every book had to have continuity with the other books. Okay, what happened in Fantastic Four had to tie in with the Avengers, and what was going on in the Avengers had to tie in with Iron Man's book and Captain America's book and Thor's book. Okay, all the books had to tie in together. Now, the Marvel Universe has gotten so big, and there's so many characters, and there's so many books that you can't do that. You got Spider-Man being in 6 books, and he's on 2 or 3 super teams, so you can't have that kind of continuity. But
right, I mean, there's an issue of Wolverine from a couple years ago where you just panel by panel, it's like Monday, and he's hanging out with the Avengers doing stuff. Tuesday, and he's with the X-Men. Wednesday, he's off by his own thing. Thursday, he's with X-Force. Friday, he's with a different team of Avengers. And it's poking fun of the fact that, you've got so much going on that you really can't keep track of it.
So you obviously can't do that. But when they relaunched the Guardians of the Galaxy,
mm-hmm.
Groot and Rocket are there with him on Spartex, fighting with them. And that book is on like issue 4 or 5 now. You've got Guardians of Infinity.
They're there.
They came out this week, and they're there. And in this book, you got the Guardians of the Galaxy thinking they're not
Dead.
they're dead. So at least give me a blurb saying this happens 2 months before, 3 months before Guardians of the Galaxy #1. At least give me a little note. Just give me something. I don't know, man. I can't make. I don't even know what. Dude.
Yeah. Your struggle to find words is the perfect analogy for this book. Because the whole time I'm going,
there you go.
What is, who is, what is this? Yeah. Either give me some explanation or I'm just not going to read this.
And it's got a big climactic ending on a splash page. And by the time you get there, you're like, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe we're going to get some resolution in the second issue and they're going to explain themselves and it's going to be great. Maybe so, but I'm really confused right now.
Yep.
Totally Awesome Hulk #2. Tell me about it.
Did you read it?
No.
You don't do Hulk.
I don't do Hulk.
You just refuse to read Hulk books.
I'll at least give the Deadpool books a shot and the Howard the Ducks the shot. Dude, I just can't get into the Hulk. And I know you're a Hulk guy, so I know you're going to read it.
Yeah.
And I know Greg Pak's doing it, but
they're really going somewhere with this. We've got Amadeus Cho, who's the Hulk. They're still doing flashbacks as to how Bruce Banner isn't the Hulk and how he lost the power. And I assume eventually these flashbacks are going to carry us to how Amadeus Cho became the Hulk. Amadeus Cho is slowly, we're seeing where he absolutely is not, he thinks he's in control of himself when he becomes the Hulk. And he obviously isn't, to coin a phrase, he has anger issues. And this was just a great book. It just, maybe not great. It was good. Maybe great. It was, if you're a Hulk fan, it was great. If you're not a Hulk fan, it was good. And they're taking the Hulk in a different direction because they've got Amadeus Cho. They've got his sister there who they introduce as a new character in issue 1. She-Hulk's in this issue. They've got a couple of new villains in this issue. He's going to fight Fin Fang Foom in issue 3 because he was there at the end. So it's really good. And you see Amadeus Cho wrestling with being a 12 or 13-year-old brilliant person, but not knowing what to do with the strength of the Hulk.
How long has he been a 12 or 13-year-old person?
Well, he started out at like 11 or 10 or 11. So now he's up to like 12 or 13.
Okay. I do like Amadeus Cho.
I think Miles Morales was in this issue also. One of the Spider-Men was.
That's another character that's going to get team fatigue where he just shows up in every book and you're like, how in the world does this kid ever get his homework done?
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool. If you like the Hulk, that sounds like a series to be reading.
It is.
Now we jump across the multiverse, leaving the 616 universe behind and to the Star Wars universe, beginning with Star Wars #14. This is another issue, kind of the climactic issue of the Vader Down storyline that's been going on. I really like this book. I mean, this has just been a great series all the way around.
Yeah, the Star Wars book has been good. The Vader Down story has been good. You finally saw the droids, the killer droids, turn loose to kill something.
Yes.
You saw all of the characters finally brought together, and all of their different storylines being wrapped up in this issue. And it was good, man. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big throwdown. You got Chewbacca fighting that other Wookiee. You got Darth Vader fighting General Grievous 2.0. Um, things are actually looking pretty grim. I mean, it doesn't go well for anybody, including Darth Vader, believe it or not. And yeah, and you've got the appearance of like ancient Jedi temples and Force ghosts, and Vader's being haunted by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and yeah, man, great Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, this is a very good Star Wars book. It's a great book.
And giving some of the things that happen in this book, it makes this next issue more prescient, perhaps. Obi-Wan and Anakin #1. Did you read this?
I did.
Okay. Basically, what you have, I don't. They didn't say exactly how much time it's been, but it's somewhere between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, because Anakin looked to be
10?
What, 12? 10, 12 maybe?
13 at the oldest. And understand he came into the order, he was what, 7 or 8? 9 maybe?
Yeah.
So it's only been 4 or 5 years, tops. And he's still training under Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they're out on a mission. And you realize Anakin's had doubts about the Jedi Order for a long time. Perhaps even as far as when lost his name. He dies in the first movie. Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like you start to wonder if perhaps that was where he started to doubt the Jedi, and of course you see the Emperor take interest in him as well. So it's a lot of setup here, but I really hope the exploration of this book is going to be the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Written by Charles Soule, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite Marvel writers, which also tells me this is going to be a long form story that's happening here. You're not going to get to issue 2 and 3 and really do anything. You're going to this is going to be a issue 12 finally resolving the story kind of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, being a first issue, they got to set up. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
all the Star Wars books have just been.
There has not been, other than maybe that Chewbacca book, there has not been a bad book.
I wouldn't even call that Chewbacca book bad. It's just not as good as the rest of them.
True.
All right. I think that wraps up most of the books. We have some miscellaneous stuff. You got an Ultimate Spider-Man Infinite comic, a Deadpool and Cable Infinite comic, Captain America Civil War Prelude, movie tie-in type thing. Did you read any of those?
No.
No, I never do either.
No, didn't read a one. Don't miss them.
We got a dump of exclusively 90s Luke Cage books.
I think the Luke Cage stuff is preparing us for a Luke Cage TV show, which surprisingly, I saw a story on it. I realized it's only
September 30th.
A couple months away, probably.
Yeah, September 30th.
A couple months away.
I saw those books and I was like, why are they putting all these Luke Cage things in? Oh, they're going to do a Luke Cage spotlight soon. When does that show come out? Oh, September 30th. Now it makes sense. So they're getting all their back issues of Luke Cage ready, and they're probably going to do a spotlight in Marvel Unlimited when that comes out, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yep. So what was your pick of the week this week? What was the book that to you really just stood out?
I really liked that Iron Man book. I really enjoyed that Star Wars book. That's a hard call. I'm going to go with Iron Man.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I actually thought
I really think that I really enjoyed that Iron Man book.
Yeah, mine would have to be Contest of Champions #4.
Yeah, that's close too.
Yeah, I mean, and it's only because it continues to surprise me and it continues to get better. And it's a book that they created to promote a video game. And they really did something with it when they could have just, half measured it. And as we all know, there are no good half measures. And they went the full length with that book. And I'm just impressed.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
Cool. So, tip of the week this week, Pat, how do you prefer to read your comic books?
I was just sitting here while as I sounded a little distracted because I was. I actually go full page on these things.
Okay.
I actually go full page, and then take it and expand it. When I want to see it larger, I take it and expand it. So because I'm blind. So if I need to read a word or I want to see something better, I expand it to see it close up. And maybe I'll expand it on a panel or expand it to get the word bubbles bigger. But I prefer looking at the whole page and then blowing it up when I need to. And if there's ever a double page, 2 pages at the same time is when I usually need to blow it up. Now, what you were saying...
I actually prefer to read them as smart panels. And for those of you who don't know, if you click up in the right-hand corner, the little menu there's a little thing that says smart panel. And if you select that, it changes the way the book reads. It will actually, page by page becomes each panel, and it will slide you from panel to panel in terms of what you're supposed to read first. And I have found that it makes following stories much easier sometimes.
But doesn't it mess up the art? I'm doing it now. Doesn't it kind of mess the art up a little bit?
Well, you usually get the full page at the end. Like when you get one of those big splash pages, it will either show it to you at first, depending on where that splash page fits into the narrative. So you'll get a couple panels, and then it will blow up the whole page and be like, "Look at this thing." It just depends on how it is in the narrative. To me, it makes it far easier to read and follow. Also, I don't have to pinch and zoom to read bubbles sometimes, particularly when Brian Michael Bendis is writing, because he gets real wordy.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, and it does make it easier. I just don't mind pinch and zooming. I mean, I'm just so blind. I pinch and zoom everything, so it's just force of habit with me.
Okay. Yeah. So if you didn't know about that, that is an alternate way that you can read these books. I prefer one way. Pat prefers another. It seems to be a theme running through this episode.
Yes.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up the books for the week. Pat, what's our website?
No. Hold on. Hold on.
We have extras.
The books this week are from January 6, 2016, which means next week's books will be from January 13th, 2016. So now 2 things happened on January 13th. Number 1 is I got about a 6-inch scar in my shoulder, which is where I had shoulder replacement. Number 2 is we will finally get Secret Wars number 9 next week.
Yay! Finally.
If there's no reason we shouldn't get Secret Wars number 9 next week.
Cool.
Finally.
So we can finally put Secret Wars behind us, and some of this stuff will make a little more sense.
We can spend about 15 minutes talking about it, and it will finally make more sense. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. www.6sixmonthsbehind.com.
And you can reach us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Pat, do you have any parting wisdom for our listeners this week?
Don't do drugs. It leads to a bad podcast.
Okay. I'll agree with that. See you next week.
Peace.